everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are new to the channel, hello, my name is Sammie Nicole. I am from the Sammie Nicole and FeeFee show. And on this channel, we are a dynamic and the only dynamic mother-daughter duo here on YouTube. And on our channel, we love discussing all things love, life, relationships, and pop culture as well from both the millennial perspective, myself, Sammie Nicole, and the Gen X perspective, my oh so beautiful mother. And I am coming to you guys live and direct, doing a late night pop up show because we got to talk about this Tyler Perry lawsuit. I don't know what's going on with this Tyler Perry lawsuit, but I just had to come to y'all and talk about it. So before we get into it, let's get into the disclaimers. Typically at the Sammie Nicole and FeeFee show, we like to go live every Thursday, Saturday. It's summertime, so we go live during various times, but we also like to do pop-up shows during the week. Hey, my Ty, what's up? Like we're doing right now. So if you like our channel, you like our content, you like what we stand for, please, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that way you can get notified each and every single time we go live. All right, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you select the notification bell that says all so that way you can get notified each and every single time we go live. And by subscribing to our channel, that's how you become a part of the dynamic family. Okay. Please make sure you share our content. If you like what we stand for, you like the content, you like the information that we put out, you like the way we kiki, please share with any family members or friends who you think may also like our content as well. And then also, we are having a meet and greet next Saturday, June 28th at 3 p.m. So if you're interested in hanging out with us, taking a candle making class with us, please email us at sammieNicoleandFeefee@gmail.com. Again, email us at sammieNicoleandFeefee@gmail.com. So that way you can get the information. We'll send it to you. We're just doing it that way so that way we have a official head count of who is going to be hanging out with us next Saturday at 3 p.m. It'll be in the Metro Atlanta area. So if you're interested, email us, sammieNicoleandFeefee@gmail.com, and then we'll notify you and send you the details. Come kick it with us. All right. So with that being said, hold on. Let me just let the people know that I'm doing a pop-up. Please excuse me. So we can talk about it. I'm just sharing my initial thoughts about this whole Tyler Perry situation. I know the lawsuit just came out. I know that there's obviously going to be, new information coming down the pipeline as the days go on, weeks go on. So I'm acknowledging that, all right? Also, everything that I'm going to be saying tonight is allegedly. Everything that I'm going to be saying tonight is allegedly, because why? I don't know Mr. Tyler Perry, okay? Nor do I know Mr. Derek Dixon, okay? I don't know these people. I'm just sharing my initial thoughts about what's going on, okay? That's it, okay? Everything I say is allegedly, and all individuals are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Again, all individuals are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and everything I say is allegedly, all right? Let me go ahead and read the article. It's been all over YouTube this evening. Yes, my tie, we don't know them folks. I'm going to read the article for the people in the back. If you're not already aware about what's going on, this is coming from Good Morning America. I'm going to read it just in case you ain't aware for the people in the back. All right, so first things first, it says Tyler Perry denies claim in $260 million lawsuit over sexual assault claims by actor in his shows. Tyler Perry is being sued for $260 million over sexual assault claims which he denied. Last week, a lawsuit was filed against the actor and filmmaker on Friday, June 13th. Friday the 13th. Okay? by Derek Dixon, who plays the character Dale in Perry's show, The Oval. Now, I really didn't watch The Oval on BET. It wasn't my interest. I've been more so interested in watching Divorced Sisters. If you haven't checked out Divorced Sisters on BET Plus, it's a new Tyler Perry show. It's actually fairly good. Now, it is a little raunchy. You know, lately in the past 5, 6 years, he's been getting raunchier and raunchier with his shows. You know, I guess sex sells, but Divorced Sisters is pretty good. It's got Latoya Luckett in it. It's got DeVal's wife, Kadeem, who DeVal he plays on Sisters, and now his wife is playing in Divorced Sisters. So you know, it's a pretty good show. Devon Franklin, Megan Good's ex-husband, is in the show as well. So they got a lot of great, strong actors in the show. So you know, I'm liking that, but I didn't really watch The Oval because it didn't pique my interest. All right, let me continue. In the complaint, Dixon alleges a sustained pattern of workplace sexual harassment, assault, and retaliation perpetrated by Tyler Perry, and is suing the filmmaker for alleged quid pro quo sexual harassment, work environment harassment, and more. The lawsuit alleges Perry promised Dixon career advancement and creative opportunities, only to subject him to escalating sexual harassment, assault and battery, and professional retaliation when Mr. Dixon did not reciprocate Mr. Perry's unwanted advances. According to the lawsuit, Dixon and Perry met in 2019 while Dixon worked for an event company that was hired to plan the opening party for Tyler Perry Studios. Dixon claims he was assigned a role at the party that required frequent conversation with Tyler Perry. According to the lawsuit, the Medea filmmaker and Dixon exchanged phone numbers at the end of the party, and Perry began asking the then aspiring actor about his goals. So allegedly, they saying Tyler saw a fine man at a party who was working at the party, and he decided to inquire about the young, handsome gentleman's acting aspirations. Okay. As continuing, it reads, the lawsuit states that Perry cast Dixon in his show Ruthless and began sending Dixon strange and untowardly messages. In January 2020, the lawsuit alleges Perry invited Dixon to his home in Douglasville County, Georgia, where they drank alcoholic drinks and had friendly conversations. The lawsuit continues that at the end of the night, Perry told Dixon not to drive home and offered Dixon the guest room in his home. The lawsuit alleges Perry assaulted Dixon that night. According to the lawsuit, following the assault, Dixon tried to ignore Perry's calls or texts, which became more aggressive until finally Perry offered Dixon a part in a new show called The Oval. According to the lawsuit, Dixon put up with Perry's comments due to fear over his career. No, due to fear over his role in the show being cut. Excuse me. Dixon immediately understood that his job security depended on his relationship with Perry. The lawsuit states from this point, Dixon worked with the constant fear of losing his job if he did not engage with and endure Perry's sexual harassment. Things allegedly escalated between Dixon and Perry after they filmed the episode where Dixon's character was pow pow, 4 times, indicating a seeming end to his role on the show and his termination from the job. Perry had invited Dixon to his trailer for drinks. The lawsuit states that after he asked Dixon if he was attracted to him and other inappropriate questions, Perry allegedly assaulted Dixon when he was about to leave the trailer. As soon as Derek Dixon left the trailer following Perry's violent assault, Dixon became severely nauseous and extremely anxious about his job, careers, and livelihood, the lawsuit states. Another incident took place on Perry's private island in the Bahamas. Shout out to the private island, where the cast was having a party, the lawsuit alleges. In December of 2020, Dixon began feeling depleted due to Perry's continued pattern of sexual harassment. According to the lawsuit, the assaults and harassment began manifesting in his physical health, and Mr. Dixon had no one to turn to. The complaint alleges that as the sexual harassment continued through the beginning of 2021, Dixon was prescribed an antidepressant for the stress he began experiencing. In June of 2021, Dixon claimed he was invited by Perry to his house again to discuss the pilot for Dixon's show, Losing It. At the meeting, Dixon alleged he was sexually assaulted again. Dixon decided to move to Santa Monica, California in or around January of 2023, allegedly to put some distance between himself and Perry. But the lawsuit states that the quid pro quo harassment and attempts to cover up the sexual assault by promising a show continued after dangling the promise of producing Dixon's show multiple times. Dixon realized in 2024 that Perry was doing so in an effort to prevent Dixon from exposing the dark side of Tyler Perry, the suit claims. When reached for comment, attorneys for Dixon told ABC, "At this point, Mr. Dixon has no comment. We believe the complaint speaks for itself." In response to the lawsuit, Matthew Boyd, an attorney for Perry and the Tyler Perry Studio Production Services LLC, said, "This is an individual who got close to Tyler Perry for what now appears to be nothing more than setting up a scam. But Tyler will not be shaken down, and we are confident these fabricated claims of harassment will fail." All right. My first thought when I heard about the lawsuit, and it's alleged, all right, everything is alleged, I just felt like another person who might allegedly not be able to keep their hands to themselves. I am just exhausted with these lawsuits and highly weird, y'all. What is going on? What did y'all first think when y'all heard about this lawsuit? Now, let me also say that, let me acknowledge the fact that Tyler Perry is a mogul, he's an icon, he's a multimedia giant. I mean, he has done a lot for the culture, whether you agree with his body of work or not, whether you think it's derogatory or not. He's done a lot for the culture. And, again, whether you like his work or not, he does have like a cult following. He has a certain demographic of people who they resonate with his body of work. Everything that he puts out, they support it. And they feel like it is a legitimate reflection of the African American experience. I know he recently put out Straw on Netflix starring Taraji P. Henson, and he got a lot of backlash for it because, of the, once again, the strong black woman struggling trope, and how, people feel like it's so stereotypical and they're just tired of seeing those stories from him. But, you know, a lot of people relate to it. And for a lot of people, they do feel like, what Taraji P. Henson's character Janiyah went through in, that movie Straw is very realistic and very relatable. You know what I mean? So I just say that to say that, his work does speak to, certain people, and it does resonate with them. And, he does have some great body of work. Do I agree with everything that he puts out? No. But I do think we have to acknowledge the fact that, there is some things that he's done, some movies, some shows that have been, really good. And he has done a lot for the African American community to try to push it forward and try to give back to people. Now, am I saying that he's perfect and he always does things, right? No, nobody's perfect. But I do just want to acknowledge that and acknowledge his contribution that he's made, to the culture. As toxic as at times it may be, depending on who you talk to. I just want to acknowledge that and hold space for that. Now, is this the first time we've heard these allegations being made against Tyler Perry? No. And like you saying, my tie, Christian Keys came to mind for me. Yes, Christian Keys, was it just last year? He came out and he didn't name Tyler Perry, but if you could read between the lines, you pretty much knew he was talking about Tyler Perry, allegedly, that he was actually assaulted by Tyler Perry, and that basically Tyler Perry didn't allegedly didn't want to properly compensate him for the show that he sold to Tyler Perry, which was All the Queen's Men on BET Plus, starring Eva Marcel. So he has some business dealings with Tyler Perry around the show that he wrote and created, All the Queen's Men. Christian Keys created that show, wrote that show, and he felt like the business was not right. He wasn't getting the proper compensation for that show that he sold to Tyler. And so he basically came out and said, if I'm not made whole, if things are not made right, then I'm going to expose this black billionaire who has a history of actually harassing and assaulting his male employees, especially his attractive male employees, and creating a unprofessional and unsafe work environment. And so you know, Christian came out about that, everybody was like, talking and whispering, like, is it Tyler? Is it Tyler? Is it Tyler? He didn't come out and say, he just threatened that he would if the unnamed billionaire, didn't do right by him. And then we never heard about it a couple of months later. So I'm assuming that allegedly, if it was Tyler, he made Christian Keys whole from a financial standpoint, and Christian decided to drop it. But, you know, allegedly, this is given a pattern. This is given a pattern. Now, I'm not really tripping over the sexual orientation of Tyler Perry. I feel like it's none of our business. Now, do I know that he has a history of, you know, um, producing Christian content and, Christian movies, and, you know, he speaks to that church demographic? Yes, right? That's what he started out as. His movies, his plays, it was around, Christianity, right? And so I could see the fact, when he probably first started, him, being concerned that maybe he wouldn't get the same amount of support if he came out, if that is his sexual orientation. We don't know. Everything I'm saying is allegedly. I could understand his hesitation to want to come out, because obviously he caters to a demographic that may or may not be accepting of that, right? Especially when he first came out. But going back to my point, whatever his sexual orientation is, it's none of our business. It doesn't concern us. I feel like, when you have major actors like Queen Latifah, she don't confirm or deny. You see her with her partners, and if you see them, right? She don't give us no step-by-step detail about her business. She just lived her life, and I love that for her, and I respect that for her. So I say that to say, if Tyler Perry is gay or bisexual or heteroflexible or whatever he is, that's none of our business, right? If anything, we should just focus on the work that he puts out, critique that. His personal life is his personal life. What he does in his bedroom, who he does it with, is none of our business. It's really not. It's 2025, whatever. Okay. Now, text messages have come out. Derek Dixon has posted the receipts. Allegedly, they're text messages between him and Tyler Perry. Now, text messages can be fabricated. They can. I'll acknowledge that. But allegedly, Derek has posted some text messages between him and Tyler, where, depending on your interpretation of how you perceive things, which is subjective, it appears that Tyler is somewhat flirting with Derek in the text messages, and asking him certain questions, and referring to Derek as thick, and talking about his body and how attractive he is, and how he's taking testosterone medication, and he's horny, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So depending on how you would perceive or interpret the text messages, it does seem like Tyler is flirting. All right, let me see what y'all saying. My side said he bought this guy a new car just like Christian, allegedly. Yes. Yes. So, based off of the text messages, one could argue that Tyler is flirting and is pursuing, was trying to pursue Derek and expressing how, if he saw Derek with another man or saw Derek interacting with another actor, male actor, he would burn down the whole island. He said that to him during one of the vacations that they took to Tyler's private island in the Bahamas, and just expressing, interest in Derek and him being jealous if he saw Derek with another man, and Tyler encouraging Derek to get over religious guilt surrounding his sexual desires and orientation, and telling Derek he needs to be more sexual and needs to express himself more, and just going on and on and on in the text messages, allegedly, right? My thing is, I do feel like the main accountability that Tyler needs to take now, if he did touch Derek inappropriately and it was unwanted, if it's true, he should be held accountable if it's true, right? My other issue with Tyler is, you are a billionaire, you are a mogul, you are a powerhouse. Some may even argue that you may be at icon status, right? Why are you being so sloppy with your dealings? That's my issue. One of my main issues with Tyler. Okay. I feel like when you have so much to lose, like Tyler, you have to move a certain kind of way. You can't afford to be sloppy. And I feel like when you're a man of, or a person at Tyler Perry's level, you have to be intentional and strategic about how you move throughout the world in every aspect. Because you are at the level that you're at, you don't have the luxury like a regular person like me to be sloppy. You have too much to lose. You have way too much to lose. You empower and you employ hundreds and hundreds, probably arguably thousands of people. I mean, he was just bragging the other week when he was getting criticism for Straw about how many black millionaires he's made, right? So you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, Tyler. And if you want to, he mentioned in the text messages with Derek that he wanted to have, physical relationships and emotional relationship, but he still wanted it to be kind of like a friends with benefit and open, because he still wanted to, do him. And because of, how busy he is, he may not always have the time to devote to a relationship. Okay. So if you wanted to do stuff like that and you wanted that type of relationship dynamic, Tyler, why not just get you a high paid escort or get you a pay for play, gentleman, a handsome gentleman? Because we know you have great taste in men. Side note, one thing we could say about Tyler Perry is he has great taste in men. Okay. The men that he picks to star in his movies and TV shows, chef's kiss. Everybody be fine. So I'm going to give you that, Tyler. Everybody be attractive. But back to my point, if you know you want that type of dynamic, why not just pay for it? Why not find a handsome young gentleman who you can write up an agreement with, have an understanding with, and do what you do with them? Why keep coming on to men who present themselves as heterosexual or heteroflexible? Because there's been some whispers about Christian Keys allegedly, but again, everything is allegedly. We don't know. And it's really none of our business. But why not pursue men who are, openly gay, or who are openly bisexual, or who are openly, heteroflexible, that are also interested in you in a romantic or sexual way, and y'all strike up an agreement and y'all do what y'all do? Why keep pursuing men who aren't interested in you, or for men who don't feel 100% comfortable, or who aren't in 100% in agreement with having a intimate relationship with you? Why keep going after men who you have to allegedly coerce into entertaining you and even allegedly at some points being intimate with you. That's the problem that I have with Tyler. You need to want who wants you. I'm sure there are plenty handsome gay men or bisexual men or heteroflexible men who will love to date you, who will be willing to do things on your term, how you like it, when you like it, for a nice little fee. And y'all just go do what you do. Why not focus on pursuing those type of men and keep the business and the personal relationship separate? You have way too much to lose, Tyler. You saw what went down with Bill Cosby. You saw what went down with R. Kelly. You watching what's going down with Diddy. And yet you still continue to allegedly make poor decisions and put your empire and everything that you worked so hard for at risk. I mean, there was a moment in Tyler Perry's life where he was homeless, where, he was sleeping in his car, where he was working for years and years to try to get his big break. Tyler Perry is not an overnight success. He has worked extremely hard to get to where he is. And to hear that he may have allegedly jeopardized everything that he's worked so hard for because he's thinking with the little head and not the big head, even though allegedly he say he got a big head and that the bottoms go crazy over it because he's a blouse, he's a feminine top, allegedly. Still, still, you know better, Tyler. You know how the game go. Just find you somebody, a handsome boy that's in agreement with it, a adult man that's in agreement with what you want, and y'all rock out. And you have him sign an NDA and whatever other legal document to protect your privacy in a non-disparaging, non-disparaging agreement, non-disclosure agreement, put a clause in there about that. So, if and or when you decide to separate with a gentleman, he can't say or make any derogatory comments about you or go to the blogs on you. That's how you handle stuff like that, Tyler. Leave your employees alone. Leave your employees alone. And if you do decide or a situation presents themselves where one of your employees is interested in you, you sit that employee down and you tell them either you're going to be my employee or you're going to be my man. You can't be both, right? And make sure they understand it and have them sign an agreement. But stop allegedly going after people who don't want the same thing as you because you bring all this unnecessary stress and embarrassment and shame and heartache onto yourself. Tyler, you know better. You not new to the game. You true to the game. And you know better. This was very sloppy. You thinking with the little head and not the big head. And I bet y'all he made that baby mama sign agreements. The lady he had his son with, that he not with anymore, that was allegedly his beard. I bet you he made her sign documents so she can't come out and speak and make derogatory comments about him. So I don't know why he wouldn't think to do the same with any man that he's interested or considering pursuing. That was just sloppy. And I get it. I know some of y'all gonna say, well, people always file lawsuits against Tyler. They always file frivolous lawsuits against him. And I get that. I hold space for that. But I don't know. Where there's smoke, there's fire. This is not the first handsome gentleman to come out against Mr. Perry, unfortunately. So I feel like where there's smoke, there's fire, allegedly. Remember, everything I'm saying on this live is allegedly because I don't know Mr. Perry. All right, my Ty said, I feel he wants what he can't have. It could be that he feels his money can buy him anything or anybody he wants. Okay, let's talk about that. That's a really good point, my Ty. I could definitely see that. I think your comment makes a lot of sense. I do think that because he is, allegedly a billionaire, he has all these resources, he is in a position where he is seen as being very desirable by both men and women. And Tyler is not a bad looking guy. He's an attractive man. He's what, 6'5", 6'6". He's a billionaire. Allegedly, according to him, he's well endowed, he's successful, he seems to be generous. So I could see that. I could see that a lot of people wanted him, and him being bored by the fact that a lot of people want him, and being more so interested and excited by people who give him, you know, who put up a chase, who give him pushback, who diss him. I could definitely see Tyler being the type of man that likes a challenge, because he is a go-getter. He went after his dream when he was, at his lowest, and he pursued it and he accomplished his dream. So I could see him being the type of man that, is bored with people who are throwing themselves at them. Not saying he won't entertain them, but he's probably like, okay, this is boring. You're not giving me no chase. You're offering up the bussy wussy to me. I really don't have to work hard for it. So I mess around with you, and then boom, I'm moving on. Hey, Queen Lily. I'm moving on, and I'm pursuing somebody else who is, more of a challenge. I'm gonna pursue the person that's like, no, I don't want you. I don't want to talk to you, because it's the thrill of the chase. Yes, my Ty, the thrill of the chase. So, maybe that's what it is, my Ty. Maybe he gets off on feeling like he can turn a straight man out, right? And maybe that's why he's pursuing, some of his attractive male actors, because he feels like, if he maybe he's getting a sense that he has the ability to potentially turn them, as they say, and that they may have the propensity to also be interested in men as well. And so he's, going after them and pursuing them. And maybe just the thought of, if he is able to be successful and conquer these men and get them to submit to him and agree to be intimate with him, he gets off on that. That's exciting. That's arousing for him, right? And so perhaps allegedly that could be what it is. And he wants to take the more challenging route, as opposed to just hiring an escort, or meeting a handsome young gentleman who he can agree to do a pay for play dynamic with, where it's just transactional, and they hang out, they have a good time, and they're intimate, and they do what they do. And then the young man goes on about his business, and Tyler goes back to working on his TV scripts or movie script. And so I definitely feel like this is probably going to be a hard lesson learned for Tyler, because obviously he didn't learn it the first time, allegedly, with Christian Keys. This same situation and lesson keeps rearing its ugly head. So, I mean, if that's the main thing that I'm looking at Tyler, like, you need to hire a professional escort, or you need to find a young handsome gentleman that is okay with the type of intimate experience you want to have, and strike up an agreement with him, and just accept it for being transactional, and leave it at that, and go on about your business, because this is not a good look. And like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sorry, but everybody can't be lying. Everybody can't be lying, Tyler. And like I said, you've made some major contributions to the culture. I won't take that away from you. You've done some really amazing things. Even if everybody doesn't agree with everything that you put out, you've done some great work. You have to get that man his flowers, and he's helped and put on a lot of people. And it's just unfortunate to keep seeing him in this situation, because how many black, multimedia people do we know who have their own movie studios, where they're filming major multi-million dollar, even close to $1 billion films? That's not common. We don't have a plethora of Tyler Perrys. So, when you see stories like this, it's just disappointing, because it's like, dang, Tyler, this is something you could have avoided, allegedly, if you would just keep your hands to yourself and go about things in a more structured way. And I don't know if the fact of having a transactional relationship turns him off, because I know in the text messages he was also saying that he wanted, an emotional relationship and, love and something like that. But, tough cookie. When you in a position like that, 9 times out of 10, a lot of your romantic relationships are going to have a transactional aspect of it. I mean, even when you aren't a billionaire or a multimillionaire, relationships have, you know, transactional aspects to them. They do. They do. And so it's just it's just disappointing because it's like, dang, another one. And soon as the story broke, we always had that team of black people who are like, oh, they're trying to ruin a black man like they did with Diddy and Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. They're trying to ruin him. And I'm like, okay, what y'all gonna say? Tyler Perry was trying to buy NBC. They doing this because he was trying to buy BET. Like, come on, y'all. Come on. Why do we have such a hard time as black people holding each other accountable just because they have money? I'm not saying that Tyler Perry hasn't done great things. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's unfortunate and it's sad to see this play out the way it is, because he has done great things and he's such a powerhouse for the culture. He is. I'm not taking that away from him. But why can't he be held accountable if he's doing something inappropriate? Especially given the fact that if what Mr. Dixon is saying is true, based off of his lawsuit, is giving the impression that Tyler Perry knew that some of his behavior was wrong and inappropriate because he was apologizing after doing it. I mean, with the incident that happened in his home, the incident that happened in his trailer, the text messages, him apologizing to Dixon and, saying, I'm glad we can get past this, et cetera, et cetera. That in itself is admitting to wrongdoing. That's admitting guilt. Basically saying, hey, I was drunk. I shouldn't have did that. That shouldn't have happened. So, in certain points, based off of when certain incidents occurred, because there were several between Tyler and Derek, he knew what he was doing was wrong and inappropriate. So, if he was able to hold himself accountable in some of those moments, why can't we hold him accountable? Why do we do that as black people? It's like once a black person makes it and they're successful and they become wealthy and a lawsuit comes out against them, you just have that certain group of black people who are like, they're just trying to turn a black man down. This is exhausting. Why do they always do this to our black men? Why do they always do that to our black men? And then they get mad and say, we're always so quick to tear each other down. Well, if you're so quick to believe that he didn't do it, why are other people wrong to be quick to believe that he did do it? And check this out. Tyler Perry is a SA survivor. Tyler Perry has been actually assaulted as a child, and he's a survivor, right? And so that adds even yet another layer to this. Here is someone who is a survivor himself who has gone through something like this. And now allegedly he is perpetuating the same behavior and serving as an alleged abuser to someone else. And so the cycle is continuing, allegedly. So I just don't know why we have a hard time holding people accountable, specifically Black men in the Black community, especially wealthy Black men. Why do we have a hard time doing that? Why? We got to get off of that. Okay? Everything is not a conspiracy theory, Black people. I'm going to say that again. Everything is not a conspiracy theory, Black people. Okay? It's not. And I want us to stop it. I'm tired of hearing the conspiracy theory shit. I'm tired of it. Okay? I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear because he was trying to buy NBC, ABC, because he was trying to buy the Weather Channel, because he was trying to buy BET, and so they retaliated. I don't want to hear. I'm tired of it, y'all. Everything not a conspiracy theory. Sometimes the folk really do be wrong. Sometimes the folk really do be wrong. Okay? And that's that. Now, let's talk about Derek, Mr. Derek Dixon. Now, and hit the like button too, y'all. If you're in the live, double tap the screen and hit the like button, or in the upper right hand corner, click on the three dots and hit the like button, or down below, hit the like button. Okay? Yes, counseling is needed. Definitely, counseling is needed. Counseling is needed. Now, speaking about Mr. Derek Dixon, do I think that Derek Dixon kind of gives me that vibe of he was willing to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Play around in the danger zone a little bit with Tyler in order to solidify his career and protect his livelihood. I do. I do. I definitely think that I don't take away from the fact that Derek may have felt uncomfortable because I would never want to victim blame or shame. That's not what I'm intended to do. But I definitely think that, Derek definitely kind of played into the fact that he knew he was a handsome man. Obviously, that Tyler Perry was attracted to him, and that he did kind of, you know, walk a fine line a little bit with, kind of tolerating Tyler's advances. Teasing. Yes, my Ty. That's the word I'm looking for. Teasing. I definitely think that Mr. Derek Dixon allegedly kind of leaned in a little bit with the teasing. Y'all know, for those of us who, you know, hell are women, or who, maybe somewhat attractive, sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where you may flirt. As women, we say using our womanly wiles, right? Where it may be a person that we might not be interested in, but let's say, hey, you at the Lexus dealership, and you going to get a oil change, right? And your service agent, he's flirting with you. He might be unattractive, you might not be interested in him, but he's flirting with you, right? And you get an oil change, and y'all and he's flirting, and you laughing and kiki with him, and you like, you know what, I know my oil change gonna be about $100, but realistically I only got about 50, $60 in my account. Okay. So he's flirting with you, your service agent at the Lexus dealership. And, right when it comes time to pay, he's asking for your number and flirting and talking with you and telling you how attractive you are. And you flirting back. You ain't feeling them, but you flirting back. And then, you go to pay and you see that, oh, it's only $25. So it went from $100 to, maybe 25 or maybe $40, right? You get a little discount, okay? So even though you're not feeling him, and you low key inside, you're grossed out and want to throw up in your mouth because this man even thinks he has the chance with you and is really landing on thick flirting with you down at the dealership, you like, you know what? I'd rather pay, $25, $40 than $100 for my oil change. So I'm gonna continue to laugh and kiki, even though I'm a little grossed out and weirded out and uncomfortable. I'm gonna smile and grin and get this steep discount and go on about my business. And maybe I'll give him my Google Voice number, or I'll won't give him my number at all. Or if I give him my number, I'll block him. But whatever. It's kind of like that situation to me. That's kind of what is given. That's kind of what is given. He was teasing a little bit, like going along with it. He pretty much said that in his lawsuit. Like he was afraid, that if he didn't, go along with it and entertain it a little bit, that he would lose his livelihood, his job. And to me it kind of came off that Mr. Derek was willing to kiki and tease and flirt with Tyler so long as it didn't get physical. And once it got physical, then it was like, oh no. And once he found out that his show losing it wasn't going to get green lighted and he wasn't going to get no money, and that Tyler was just playing in his face after he gave him his show, that pissed him off and sent him over the edge too. So that's kind of what it's sounding like. Not saying that Tyler Perry had the right to allegedly make inappropriate advances towards Derek, especially if it was unwanted. He had no right to do that. You should, no means no. Keep your hands to yourself, and you should respect people's autonomy. But that's kind of what it's given to me. But what y'all think? Let me see what y'all saying. Queen Lily said, "I let a woman know I do not get down like that." I know that's right. You're setting your boundaries, and that's good, Queen Lily. You setting your boundaries. If you're not interested in a person romantically, you let them know. And the best thing they need to do and what they should do is back off and leave you alone. Okay? But like we said earlier, I think that because Tyler is such a powerful man, I do think he weaponizes his power and he tries to coerce, people into getting what he wants out of them. I think that's plausible. I think it's believable. I don't put that past him. I don't. I just don't. And this is going to be a valuable lesson to Tyler, because allegedly, word on the street is he's been doing stuff like this for years. This is nothing new, according to Christian Keys. And so he needs to learn. He needs to learn. You need to calm it down, and you need to respect people's boundaries. And Derek, he needs to learn that you don't want to play with fire, especially in an industry like Hollywood. You don't want to play with fire. If you're not interested in something, make it known and make it clear, because they be coming in hot in Hollywood. They do. So hopefully this is a good lesson learned for Derek. I know he was trying to low key use what he got to get what he want, but it backfired. And I do think he's pissed off about that as well. I do. Not saying that he's not a victim, but I also think it's part of it too. I think that if Tyler would have greenlit his show losing it, and he would have been able to, come on as a director or star in it and really make some money in it, I'm not too sure he would have went through with the lawsuit. I don't know if he would have still went through with the lawsuit. Because just like Christian Keys, and Christian Keys is foreign, Derek Dixon is foreign. Christian Keys got real quiet after making that alleged threat against the unnamed black billionaire that we all know, which gives me the impression that he got his check. So if you really felt wronged, and victimized, why not go through with the lawsuit? Why not go through with pressing charges? But Christian, allegedly, it seemed like Christian got his coins and he backed off. Let me see what y'all talking about. I don't know, y'all. I'm just looking at all pieces. Everybody got their part to play. I feel like in this situation, everybody has their own bag of accountability that they need to pick up and carry. We just having real conversation tonight. We just having some real deal conversations tonight and really talking about how things go in the industry. All right. It's a lot of pay for play going on. It's a lot of you scratch my back, I scratch yours. It's a lot of let's sit down on the casting couch and let's strike a deal going on. We all know how it go. All right. Let me see. Queen Lily said, I know some things. Queen Lily, what do you know? Allegedly. Because everything we say is allegedly over here. Because why? We don't know these people. But Queen, do tell. What do you know? You know, hypothetically, allegedly speaking. What do you know, Queen? My side said Derek could also be blocked from getting another job in the industry. Yes, being blackballed. And he talks about that too, being worried about, his career not being able to work again, and his pilot being pulled from the shelf, and Tyler not being honest and upfront about that, and basically trying to use Derek's dreams, goals, and aspirations to hang it over his head. Because in the lawsuit, Derek talked about how, he would sit down and have conversations, and Tyler would be like, what's your dreams? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? Right? Only for him to then turn around and try to weaponize it against him in order to get, Derek to, do what he wanted him to do. And unfortunately, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. Hello, I love Supernatural. Queen Lily said Tyler allegedly likes the light skinned boys. Okay, well, DM me, Queen Lily, DM me and tell me on the Instagram, please and thank you. But yeah, he does have great taste. Typically we do see him gearing more towards the light skin and white men. But every now and then Tyler will throw in a sexy chocolate man. I mean, look at Lamont Rucker. Look at Lance Gross. Look at that guy. What's that guy's name? He was in Beauty and Black. That tall, dark-skinned guy, Tariq something or Ty something, but he real fine. Real fine. He's always in Tyler's movies and plays and stuff. But he's like the tall, dark-skinned muscular. He's so fine. I think he is too, but he's sexy. I don't care. It's still good eye candy. That ain't my business. I ain't gotta be with the man. It's still nice to look at. But yes, Tyler does have great taste in men. He does. And he was recently spotted out with Mariah Carey's ex-boyfriend. What is it, Brian Tanaka, something like that. Now, just because they were spotted out together doesn't mean they were doing anything. They could have just been two homeboys hanging out on a boat, chilling. So I hold space for that. But, people were trying to read into that and make it more than what it was. So who knows? But I just say that to say, Tyler, you got to tighten up. You got to tighten up. And you got to start thinking with the big head instead of the little head, because you got way too much money and you got way too much to lose to be this sloppy. And you know better. You've seen the Jeffrey Epstein. You've seen the Harvey Weinstein. You've seen what's happened to them. So what do you think is going to happen to you as a black man? You've seen what happened with Bill Cosby. You've seen what happened with R. Kelly. You've seen what's happened with Diddy. Come on, Tyler. Come on. And I feel like, too, if this is allegedly true, the allegations that have been made against Tyler, I also think that he probably felt like because he was dealing with men as opposed to women, that they would be more reluctant to come out and speak out as opposed to women, because men would feel ashamed. There's more shame with men because people are like, well, you're a man. Punch that ninja in the face. Push that ninja off of you. Like, what do you mean you froze up and your body went limp and went stiff and you didn't do anything? You're a man. Fight back. Do something. So I also think that Tyler Perry is using, you know, toxic masculinity and sexism to his advantage, because he knows most men wouldn't feel comfortable coming out and speaking out about that, especially men who, may be struggling with their sexual orientation or who just may prefer to be more private. So I think that may have been allegedly another reason why Tyler felt like he could get away with it, in addition to his power and, his connections and the ability to blackball people, because according to Monique, allegedly, Tyler and Oprah blackballed her from the industry, right? So it's just a mess, y'all. It's just a mess. I just hate to see it. I really do hate to see it, because Tyler has made such huge contributions to the culture, and he's poured back into his community, whether you like him or not. I know not everybody is a fan of his personality and how he navigates business, but you can't take it away from him that he's done some dynamic things, some iconic things, whether you like his body of work or not. But it's just disappointing. It's disappointing. So I will continue to keep following this story. Let me ask y'all this: do y'all think Tyler is going to settle in the same way that Diddy settled with Cassie? Diddy came out too and said that, basically Cassie's lawsuit was frivolous and it was a money grab, until Cassie came with them receipts and then he settled. Do y'all think Tyler's going to settle? What do y'all think? Y'all let me know. Do y'all think Tyler is going to settle, or do you think he's going to fight it? Because Derek had the text messages. So I'm very curious and those text messages, it can be argued based off of your interpretation, how you perceive it, right? Now that text message about the picture and Derek not acknowledging the stud in the picture when Tyler was on the beach, I don't know about that. Tyler, he might got you on that. But um I don't know. I think if Derek comes out with some more receipts that are more convincing or jaw dropping, maybe we'll see. 260 million is a lot. That's a lot. I don't. I guess that's what he thinks he would have made had his pilot losing it been green light. I don't know. Um, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And Derek has showed that he's sought medical help, and he's been on antidepressants, and he's just been over in so much mental anguish, over the situation. His cortisol levels have skyrocketed. He just been going through it. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. And also, one, do you think Tyler Perry is going to settle? How fast do you think he's going to settle? And then two, do you think that Derek has a legitimate lawsuit? Or do you think Derek was just mad that his pilot didn't get green lighted, and it never really saw the break of day, the light of day? I don't know. The games people play, y'all. The games people play to try to make it in this world and try to make it in Hollywood. I'll also be interested in seeing if there's some more men that come out. First it was Christian, now it's Derek. I mean, is it gonna turn into a Diddy situation where it just opens up the door to even more lawsuits. It's just a wave of lawsuits. We'll see. We'll see. But it's unfortunate to see Tyler go through this, because I feel like he knows better. I think he's a very smart and strategic man who moves with intention, but he just letting his lust consume him and not thinking straight. And also, if this is true, Tyler, you need to cut back on the drinking. Instead of trying to blame everything on the alcohol, you need to cut back on that. Yeah. So yeah, y'all, those are my initial thoughts. I'm sure obviously more information will come out about this lawsuit, and I'll continue to, speak on it and give my thoughts on it. But those are just my initial thoughts. This is just coming straight from the hip, straight off the dome, what I thought about initially, y'all. So make sure you like this live. I'm gonna go ahead and get off. It's getting late. I need to get my beauty sleep, but I'm gonna go ahead and get off. But yes, if you're watching the replay, make sure you answer my questions down below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that we're once again jumping on the bandwagon to bring another black man down as black people? Or do you think that, just because a black man has money doesn't mean that he shouldn't be held accountable? Let me know your stance, because every time a story like this comes out, a lawsuit comes out, you got the black people who are like, well, if he did it, he needs to be accountable. You got the other black people who are like, no, we need to stick together. Stop automatically assuming he's guilty. But then again, should we automatically assume he's innocent? I guess in the court of law, we do, till proven guilty. So let me know what y'all think, where y'all stand, y'all. Okay. So on that note, I'm Sammie Nicole from the Sammie Nicole and FeeFee Show. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you know some people who might like our content, please share our live with them. And then also, don't forget, we're having our first meetup next Saturday, June 28th at 3 p.m. Email me if you're interested in hanging out with us next Saturday at 3 p.m. if you're in the Metro Atlanta area, or if you're planning to be in the Metro Atlanta area, and I'll send you the details. We're just doing it that way so we have an official count and we know exactly who's serious about coming and hanging out with us next Saturday. All right. On that note, I'm Sammie Nicole. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night, y'all. Bye.